Hi all, today we are going to present our methodology video on action research. First, we will be discussing the definition and the meaning of action research, followed by the basics of action research, goals and objectives of action research, steps to conduct the action research, and also the benefits and limitations of action research. Let's start with the definition of action research. According to Bassi, action research is an inquiry which is carried out in order to understand, to evaluate, and then to change in order to improve educational practices. Criswell proposes 6 key characteristics of action research, and they are a practical focus, the educator and researchers on practices, collaboration, a dynamic process, a plan of action, and sharing research. Now let us move to the meaning of action research. Action research is a type of research related to one's professional practice. It could be in education or in any other field. Action research in education is a systematic process used by teacher to study a school, a classroom, or teaching learning situation with a purpose of understanding and improving the quality of instruction. It can be a powerful tool for teacher professional development.
Now we are going to discuss goals of action research. So, in the area of education, it's a systematic process which is used to study a school or classroom's teaching learning process with the purpose of understanding and improving the quality of instructions.
Now let's start the basics of action research. Here we have 7 action research descriptors which you can see on your screen right now. So let's start with the number 1. Action research is systematic. So basically it is a systematic process. We can observe, analyze, evolve and solve problems that are going on in our teaching learning practice. So there's a certain amount of flexibility, about how data can be collected, analyzed, and presented. It does not include any description of ideas or description of observations and no explanation of anything. It's just a systematic observation of our own teaching learning practice. Now, moving to the second point. We should not start with an answer. There is no assumption of any hypothetical answer. Because if we already have an answer, then there will be chances of being biased on the conduction of action research. So the third basic is the time limit. Action research varies in length. It can be short or long, but the duration basically depends on number of factors such as the question, the nature of the research inquiry, the environment in which research is being carried out, and the parameters of data collection. For example, if we are working in a college, we can conduct research in minimum of like 2 class observations. If we are teaching in a school, then it can take minimum of at least 2 weeks to collect the data. And for professional presentations, it can take at least minimum of 2 months for data collection. So the third basic is the time limit. Action research varies in length. It can be short or long, but the duration basically depends on number of factors such as the question, the nature of the research inquiry, the environment in which research is being carried out, and the parameters of data collection. For example, if we are working in a college, we can conduct research in minimum of like 2 class observations. If you're teaching in a school, then it can take minimum of at least 2 weeks to collect the data, and for professional presentations it can take at least minimum of 2 months for data collection. The fourth basic is that action research should be adequately planned. It must be planned. As I already discussed in the first basic, that it is a systematic inquiry. That means we must have a plan about how we are going to collect data. But once we start doing action research, then plans and data collection strategies may change, and it is very common for plans or data collection to change according to the needs or the duration of the research. So there must be flexibility in that. Let's move on to the fifth basic. So observations should be regular, but they don't need to be very long. Common form of observation can take place within 1 minute. So it is just one form of data collection. In the similar way, we can use other data collection methods as well, but they have to be consistent. The next basic to action research is that it is a grounded theory. Questions and conclusions should have meaningful connection with the existing theories and the existing literature. So basically, action research, it connects the research theory to the classroom teaching learning practices. So here comes the last basic point. Action research is not an experimental study. As we already discussed in the second basic point, that it doesn't start with any hypothetical answer. Therefore, it is not an experimental study. Here, the goal is only to understand what is occurring in a particular situation.
Now we are going to discuss steps of action research. You can see the picture of action research cycle on the screen. These are the general steps. First is identify the problem. Second, develop a plan of action. Third, collect data. Fourth, analyze data. And the last is report the results. If the problem hasn't been fully resolved, then adjust the theory and begin again. So this is an action research cycle. According to Creswell, action research has 8 steps. First is determine if action research is the best design to use. Second, identify a problem to study. Third, locate resources to help address the problem. Fourth, identify information to be needed. Fifth, implement the data collection. Sixth, analyze the data. Seventh, develop a plan for action. Eighth, implement the plan and reflect. So here we are going to discuss all the steps of action research. The first step is determine if action research is the best design to use. So it depends upon various factors related to the research context, objectives, and goals. Action research is a method which focuses on creating practical solutions to real-world problems through collaboration between researchers and practitioners. Now, second step of action research is identify a problem to study. We have to decide what to study. Is there a problem that we want to investigate, an area of interest, something that you want to analyze and investigate, like what's going on in my science class? Is that effective? So it starts with deciding what to study, what problem needs to be solved. Further, the third step of action research is locate resources to help address the problem. In this step, do a review of the literature you are examining, professional journals, books, and other resources. You are seeing what others have found out or have to say about your research topic. This helps you to relate your topic to existing theories. Again, lends credibility to your research, provides a theoretical context for your findings, and gives you some ideas for how we might conduct our research. And again, we link one of the strongest ways to link the research literature directly to classroom practices. Fourth step for the same is identify information to be needed. In this step, some questions arises here. Like first is what data are going to be examined? How is it going to be collected? How often will it be collected? You make a plan, and again plan can be flexible and can change. That's completely okay. That as long as you explain and describe why the changes occurred in your action research report. Data collection must be determined before action research begins. And again, action research is a systematic observation. You should generally rule a thumb, collect at least two kinds of data that gives you two vantage points to observe. First is what you are to view. Second is what you are examining. Now, step number 5 is implement the data collection. Implement your plan and gather data related to the problem. This could involve observations, surveys, interviews, or any other relevant data collection methods. If necessary, allow the questions or the problem to change as the data are collected. Action research is dynamic, ever-changing process. It's common to take change, teaching strategies, or data sources, or even the focus of the data collection. If something is not working, you change it, and this change is acceptable as long as the reasons for change are fully described when reporting action research. For example, if you examine a strategy and you find strategy is absolutely not working, or you need to change something, or your data collection isn't working, it's absolutely okay. Step 6 is analyze the data. Now, the data collected is interpreted or analyzed for the steps or actions taken in best possible way. This will help to plan the actions better. This could be the final step in ongoing process. Step number 5 is develop a plan for action. In this plan, we have to think about what puts action in action research. You decide a plan of action based on your conclusions. What exactly will you do or do differently? What needs to be done as a result of your research? And you create this plan, and further implementation of your plan will be done. Now, step number 8 is implement the plan and reflect. So, after creating a plan, then implement it. The plan of action needs to be evaluated. If the problem hasn't been fully resolved or if new issue arise, cycle back through the process to continue refining your approach.
We hope each and every one of you understood what an action research is. Now we can move on with the advantages and disadvantages of action research. First, the advantages. Action research is highly adaptable, allowing researchers to mold their analysis to their individual needs and implement practical individual level changes. Action research provides an immediate and actionable path forward for solving entrenched issues rather than suggesting complicated, longer term solutions rooted in complex data. Done correctly, action research can be very empowering, informing social change and allowing participants to effect that change in ways meaningful to their communities. Now, the disadvantages. Due to their flexibility, action research studies are plagued by very limited generalizability and are very difficult to replicate. They are often not considered theoretically rigorous due to the power the researcher holds in drawing conclusions. Action research can be complicated to structure in an ethical manner. Participants may feel pressured to participate or to participate in a certain way. Action research is at high risk for research biases such as selection biases, social desirability bias,
or other types of cognitive biases?
Many characteristics of action research overlap with the positivist approach, such as claiming to seek the improvement in the educational practices by creating a more democratic and free environment. Action research methods value devices such as interviews, surveys, and observations to gather the data, just like the positivist approach. Action research follows the critical theory. Here we start by describing an existing situation, which can be any problem that we are facing in our teaching learning practice. Accordingly, we collect the data to understand the reason about the existing situation. After collecting data, we come to know about what are the causes of existing situation, and accordingly we plan and we provide feedback to improve the existing situation.